Good evening, race fans, and welcome to race number 26 of the 2022 Midwest Sim Racing Association Rapid Fire Pizza Nationals. Folks, we are here tonight at Bristol Motor Speedway, the last great Coliseum. My name is Mason Heimball with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here tonight. 1080p, 60 frames a second as we get ready for tonight's action. Drivers getting ready for their qualifying runs here. And I got to say, it's good to be at Bristol, always putting on some great racing. And, the one thing that I kind of wish that was here that we could see that we don't really get to see it here in the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway is that of the burnout pad that was present for the Bristol 1000 that was recently held in real life. And Cletus McFarland and all of the Cletus and cars and all of that was there at Bristol Speedway, and they put on a heck of a show. And really the only thing that I wish we could see is the skid marks, the burnout pad that they had there, and just seeing that basically just little boxy space of just black pavement. Love to see it. Anyway, that's not what we're here for tonight, though. We are here for the Thunder Valley 225 with MSRA, the Rapid Fire Pizza Nationals, as drivers get themselves a little bit of qualifying time in here tonight. Seeing some drivers already putting down times here with Billy Fitzgerald, the current leader with the times at this moment. 14.94 is the time to beat here. And one of our camera crew operators decided to post themselves underneath an awning of some sorts, and now they can't see the track very well as we're looking along here with Greg Newsom, the number 23 machine, trying to put in a good lap time here. Gonna bring the car to a stop, though, just before the exit of turn number 2 there. But Kenny Meadows, he's up there in 5th place here. And let's talk about a little bit about the season as it stands. So Evan Longacre, the current leader in the championship with 744 points. Colby Baber just behind him, only 4 points behind the leader right now with 740 points for Colby Baber. David Santini, meanwhile, 720 points for himself in that 3rd place spot. And looks like he's going to put himself right on pole here with a 14.90, 4 100ths faster than Billy Fitzgerald here in the number 22 machine. So Santini's off to a good start here tonight at Bristol. And Bristol is one of those tracks here, folks, where, I've said it before in past broadcasts. I've said it quite often, actually. The camera angles here, really just virtual Bristol does not, even if you go and look at some of the real-life races that have been held at this track, there's no real way to justify or to show just how insane the banking is here at Bristol. These cars can carry quite a lot of momentum through these turns. They're still obviously going to have to get on the brakes, being these are Xfinity cars. So going to see a lot of spicy action here tonight, and hopefully not too much beating and banging on each other. Drivers going to be well aware that this is going to be, one of those tracks where you can lose it all in the blink of an eye. It's almost like a super speedway in the sense where that one mistake, that one move, that it's going to cost you everything. And I think that drivers are going to be pretty well aware that they need to be on their A game here tonight. And it appears that all the drivers that have wanted to make their way down into pit lane, or through qualifying at least, out onto track and to put down some qualifying laps here, have mostly all done so. Braxton DeWeese, the number 8 machine, he's come down a couple laps already, but has not been able to put down an official time yet due to one reason or another. Let's see if he's going to be able to do so this time around as he comes across the checkered line. And just about 30 seconds left here in the qualifying session before the checkered flag is flown. And that is going to be all she wrote for the starting grid tonight. But let's see Braxton DeWeese if he's going to be able to put himself up there. I actually, you know what, now that I'm looking at it, I don't think he will be able to. because I think he's already completed all of his, official qualifying laps. So he's just taking advantage of the time that he has left here. I think it's only 2 laps that are allocated per driver, so you only have those 2 chances to put down the fastest time that you possibly can. Before that is pretty much the official call there. So let's go ahead and take a look at our starting grid as drivers get themselves ready for tonight's race of the Thunder Valley 225. David Santini going to be in the front row in the number 79 machine alongside Billy Fitzgerald. Second row, Jeffrey Meyer, John Binder. Third row is Colby Baber, Evan Longacre. Fourth row, Robert Cook, Kenny Meadows. Chris Noble in the 5th row alongside Mike Howerton. Braxton DeWeese in our 6th row with Scott Steffens as well. Moving on down the grid here, row 7 is going to be Barry Stevens and Matt Knight. In row number 8, Kyle Mullering as well as Greg Newsom. Rounding out the field here tonight, 16 drivers in total for tonight's race, which seems a little light given this particular series. These races for these drivers often, I feel like often see quite a handful of drivers here tonight, but Bristol is going to be a little bit of a different exception. Only 16 drivers present, so hopefully that'll mean that not a whole lot of chances for critical errors to happen. I mean, it's still going to happen. Can happen, is what I meant to say there. But the chances of it happening with 25 cars on the field, with 30 cars on the field, are significantly higher. So this could be a blessing in disguise. Let's wait and find out as we get ourselves ready to go here. Just a few more seconds before the pace car here at Bristol Motor Speedway is going to take off for the first time, make its lap around before coming down into pit lane and letting these drivers at it for 225 laps here tonight at Bristol Motor Speedway. The Thunder Valley 225 brought to you by Rapid Fired Pizza as well as Old School Ninjas. Being broadcasted live on the Team Goon Squad channel. Great to be here. Unfortunately, we were not able to have Jacob Vescannon up here in the booth tonight. He has a family emergency that he has to tend to. So best of wishes to Jacob Vescannon. Hopefully everything is A-okay. And hopefully we'll get to see him back in the booth in next week's race. So as we get ourselves ready for the action here tonight, we've got quite a lot of battles for the championship happening. I mean, not only for the top 3 or the leading position. Evan Longacre currently holding on to that lead at this moment, like I alluded to earlier. John Binder, Kenny Meadows, they're in a tight battle for 4th place. Billy Fitzgerald, Robert Cook in a tight battle for 6th place. You also have Braxton DeWeese and Brent Wall in a battle for that 8th place spot as well. So even if it isn't for the lead, there is still drivers fighting for the highest possible finishing spot in the season that they can possibly achieve here. As we get ready to go green flag for the very first time here at Bristol Motor Speedway. It's Bristol, baby. Let's go racing across the checkered line. The green flag flies. Lap 1 of 225. Let's see where these drivers are going to find themselves stacked up. We got a little bit of action happening as we go almost 3 wide here towards the kind of the center of the field between John Binder, Colby Baber, the 33 and the 10 machine, side by side through turns 3 and 4, out onto the front straightaway. Excuse me, that was turns 1 and 2. Laps happen a lot faster here than usual. About 15 seconds in total for a total lap here. David Santini already trying to build up a little bit of a gap here between himself and the rest of the field. The 79 machine up to about a half a second between himself and Billy Fitzgerald. As we continue to see drivers up on the outside lane here, Evan Longacre as well as Kenny Meadows trying to find some room up on the outside lane. Evan Longacre sticking to it. Kenny Meadows dropping back behind the number 8 car, Braxton DeWeese. Braxton here going to switch up his lane of choice, though. He's going to take it up to the outside lane, and maybe because I don't know, maybe they feel that middle outside lane is going to be a little bit faster right now, or at least kind of matching. As we're looking at Colby Baber, he doesn't have any assistance as well down on that inside lane as well, so no one's kind of giving him that little bit of a push that we might kind of see down the straights. Not really. Probably not going to be enough to really matter here. Kenny Meadows, the 96 Rolex machine, trying to navigate his way around the outside of Evan Longacre. Colby Baber, excuse me, not Evan Longacre. Almost close contact there through 3 and 4. Able to avoid that. And speaking of kind of avoiding things, Billy Fitzgerald, David Santini, both have built up nearly a second and a half between themselves and the rest of the field here. There's about a half a second gap between first and second place as well, but the fact that they're able to build up that much distance here this early on in the race is rather impressive. Now, we do have a stage caution that is set to come out on lap 60. So drivers do have a pre-planned pit stop, hopefully, that they will be making here, assuming that there isn't any sort of hiccups before that point in time. And so far, I haven't seen a single slip up yet. Every single one of these drivers is doing a phenomenal job behind the wheel. Let's go ahead and ride on board with Robert Cook in the 64 machine, currently sitting in that 8th place spot, looking behind John Binder. The 33 machine coming down the front straightaway back into turns 1 and 2. In this camber angle here, this kind of gives you a little bit of a better idea of how steep these turns really are. But folks, it's real life. Seeing it with your own 2 eyes and being there, maybe even actually standing on the bottom of these turns, it just changes your whole perspective of what these tracks are truly like. But drivers continuing on, they're all fighting for position. Well, mostly trying to get into a groove, it seems like. Not really a whole lot of fighting, but a lot of just, what can I do here in these 60 laps? Can I, can I work up some positions? If I can, that's great. But again, you have to kind of prepare for that pre-planned caution. Lap 60 is when these drivers are going to come down into the pits, and even if there's a caution before that, there's still, right as I say it, Scott Stevens, the 55 machine, he's facing himself the wrong direction on the back straightaway. Let's take a look at the Goon Squad instant replay and see what happens here. Heading into turn 1. Oh, just barely got to the apron there. And once he did, a little bit of contact from behind from, I believe, who was this? The 25 machine of Matt Knight. So, not exactly intentional there. I don't think anyone meant for that to happen. But wow, look at the damage on that thing. Holy smokes, that rear end got absolutely crunched. Wow. Well, I know iRacing had said that they updated the damage models on a lot of cars in a previous update that they did recently, but that's something. That's definitely something. The Area 51, 55, Scott Stevens here, as we were watching him make a fake out to pit lane. I don't know what that was, but anyhow, that was quite the, it didn't seem like that big of an impact, but also camera angles and all that don't really do it justice. Even kind of seeing it as a spectator, it doesn't, you could sit there and say, oh, that doesn't look that bad, but if you were in the car and you felt the G's that these guys are experiencing during some of these wrecks, granted, this is virtual, so no one's getting hurt here. No one's getting involved in any sort of real incident here. But If you were to take that and put it in real life and have that same thing happen again, oh, I can tell you that it would not be enjoyable. And as I'm looking at the broadcast chat, it looks like we got a lively bunch of people here tonight. Chris DeWeese, good evening, everyone. Hoping for a real good race tonight. I certainly hope. We are looking forward to an excellent race here tonight, Chris. Kelly Allen, let's go Braxton DeWeese. We got already four people out here tonight for Braxton DeWeese in the 8 car, who currently at this moment just coming out of pit lane, just kind of taking things nice and easy here. Now I'm wondering what the strategy might be for these drivers that are expecting these cautions to be a little bit more frequent. You know, are we going to see drivers take this undercut? Kind of. Not necessarily an undercut, even if they did stay out until laps, well, maybe about 40 laps. I'm not exactly certain what a full tire stint would be here for these drivers. I would have to imagine somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 70 laps. I might be a little off on that by 5 or 10 laps or so. It's been a little bit since I've been to Bristol with any sort of Cup car or Xfinity car for that matter, so might be a little off on my math there, but some of these guys definitely have taken this time to come down into pit lane, get fuel or tires or both. As we come out of turn 4, we're back to green flags racing here. Lap 23 of 225. Evan Longacre, Jeffrey Meyer, they're duking it out side by side for the 3rd place position. The 95 machine up on the outside. As we come through turns 3 and 4, back out onto the front straight. Let's take a look at some of the action back here towards the midfield and on further. Looking at Kyle Mollering in the 23 of Greg Newsom side by side. We've also got Scott Stevens. Oh, contact between the 53 and the 55. The 53 sees trouble. Chris Noble sideways coming out of turn 4. He gets it recorrected. The green flag stays out here, and Chris Noble is going to be quite a bit of distance from the rest of the pack now, possibly at risk of becoming a lap down as the rest of the field continues to work their way around the track here. Big shout out, big thank you to everyone who's tuning in and watching tonight's race. The Brax Pack is what Chris DeWeese is calling it. Also here tonight, cheering on the 8 machine of Braxton DeWeese. Great to see all this love and support for not only the drivers, but for the league itself. Great to see it. We would not be able to do this without you guys, truly. Let's see here, David Santini, Billy Fitzgerald. I mean, they've both kind of been in their own little groove of things for quite some time. And David Santini, he is on a mission here tonight, trying to get himself enough distance, really, any distance that he can between himself and that second place driver, Billy Fitzgerald. Now, if David Santini comes away with a win here tonight, that will be his 6th win of the season. Now, I don't want to jinx anything for anyone, but right now the 79 machine definitely is the car to beat at this moment. So we got to keep our eyes open here. We got to keep an eye on that 79 machine and see exactly what he's got in store. As we're going to ride along here with Kenny Meadows, the 96 Rolex machine, one of my favorite paint schemes out here on the track amongst all the drivers here. I'm sorry to everyone else, but I just like that Rolex machine. It looks nice. It looks cool. Anyway, And apologies, folks, if I do sound a little bit under the weather. It is that time of year here in the great state, the Mitten State. So I do apologize if I sound a little nasally. I'm doing my best to bring you guys the best show possible here tonight, even under the circumstances. So I hope you all are still enjoying the action here tonight. And hopefully we see another good green flag run for these drivers. I mean, wasn't necessarily a bad one that we saw before. It was quite impressive, really, and only a minor, extremely minor mistake that we saw from Scott Stevens getting himself onto the apron and just gliding himself back up to the track. And I believe it was Evan Longacre who unfortunately wasn't able to make that stop in time. And actually, what was it, Jeffrey Meyer? I don't remember. Anyway. Oh, Evan Longacre, though. The 95 machine is sideways coming out of turn 2. The yellow flag is out here for the 95 driver. Let's take a look at the instant replay. Just gets, was that himself getting loose, or did he make contact with Meyer there? Meyer definitely made contact with him. There's the contact to the rear bumper. Sends him spinning out down to the bottom of the racetrack, and only barely able to get it slowed down enough before making contact with the wall. But great job, though, from Evan Longacre getting that car to a stop. I mean, that's the last thing you want to do, is put yourself out of the race because of mechanical issues or anything of that nature. But gosh, this damage model. I mean, look at the rear end. That is something else. Also got the 20, yeah, and oh man, even Matt Knight's got a little bit of battle damage now from that little bit of contact that Evan Longacre just made. You can see it on the rear end once they pass the camera here. But another interesting thing to note here, 20 laps before we see that stage break come out here, and we've already had 2 cautions come out 2 different times. Drivers have been able to make their way through pit lane and get a fresh set of tires or fuel, what have you. Most of the, well, I don't want to say most of, a good portion of the field. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, the first time only 4 or 5 drivers. 5 drivers made their way through pit lane the first time. This time, though, we've got a little bit more than that here at this moment. But David Santini, Billy Fitzgerald, Robert Cook, Kenny Meadows, and 4 other drivers past that have not come down into pit lane here. So they're all sticking it out. They're all going to be waiting for that stage break, I'm assuming, to come out before they make that official pit stop here tonight. They're just biding their time. They're just staying patient, especially for the drivers up here in the top, really the top 5. There's no reason to. If your tires are still good, if you're not really fighting the car, if it's still handling as well as you would expect it to at this point in the race with 42 laps, there's no reason. You can keep yourself out there, keep that position, and continue to fight for it once that pre-planned stage break does come out. And really, it comes down to a battle out of pit road at that point. And for the Brax Pack, there is Braxton DeWeese up into 5th place here at this moment. So he's going to be restarting in the 3rd row. Once we get ourselves ready to go back to green flag, he's going to be lined up alongside the 51 of Mike Howerton. Pace car with a dive back down into pit lane. Back to green flag racing we go. Braxton looking to, oh man, that looked like he was going to try and take it 3 wide there, but he keeps himself checked up. Kenny Meadows, though, meanwhile, into the back end of Billy Fitzgerald. Almost more contact there than we would have liked to have seen. Able to keep it together, though. These drivers, every single one of them, extremely talented behind the wheel. And all very, very well know how to keep a battle going when they're side by side with one another. Braxton DeWeese continuing to charge his way up the field, down to the inside of the 64 of Robert Cook, duking it out side by side now for the third place spot. He's going to look his way into the top three. Lap 47 of 2:25. A long race still yet here to go, clicking off about 4 laps every minute. Just a weird little fun fact in case you didn't know that already before. Kenny Meadows, the 96, charging his way right behind the 51 of Mike Howerton. Single file for the most part for a lot of these drivers as they get themselves settled back in for this next stint. Some of these drivers obviously going to be on fresh set of tires. They're going to be fighting their, well, not necessarily cold now, but were cold tires before the green flag dropped here. So a little bit of difference in pace for some of the field here. We're already starting to see some of the drivers that have come down into pit lane slowly but surely work their way up the field. Braxton DeWeese is indeed one of those drivers in the number 8 machine, currently up into second place as he's made his way past Billy Fitzgerald in the third place spot from the number 22 machine. Now trying to reel in the 79 of David Santini, currently leading this field with almost about a second of a gap between himself and second place driver Braxton DeWeese. But Braxton, on those fresher tires, he's able to show a lot of pace here, and he's slowly reeling in that 79 car for the lead here tonight. Lap 53 of 2:25. Will he be able to do it before the stage break flag flies? Or is he going to have to wait for the battle out of pit road, be able to get in and out faster than that of David Santini? It also depends on kind of where he's at in pit road. I mean, I would almost have to assume that the closer you are to the entry of pit road, the better. I honestly, I don't know. I don't know if there's any kind of science behind that, but either way, it's just going to be a matter of get in, get out, fast as possible, end of story. There he is. He's right on the tail end of David Santini, and it's almost as if David's kind of slowing down here, but really I think it's just attributed to the fact that David is on amongst the oldest set of tires here on the field. Braxton DeWeese coming in lap 20 during that first caution that we saw of the race here, finally able to get his way up here into first place now as he makes his move around the outside of David Santini here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Great move from Braxton DeWeese, and now he is the leader tonight, up 10 positions from where he started here tonight. But still a long race left to go before we crown a winner here tonight for the Thunder Valley 225. So Braxton has to keep himself clean and consistent for the final, oh boy, math, 165 laps, I believe, which is still quite a long time to go. We've got a good battle here for 10th place with Greg Newsom in the 23 machine, Chris Noble in the 53 machine, down on the inside of Jeffrey Meyer. As we come across the checkered line, a yellow flag flies. I'm not entirely certain. Oh, that's why, because it's the stage break. I forgot. Or rather, I almost forgot. So, stage break is going to allow the field here to come down into pit lane if they choose to do so. What I'm curious to see is if Braxton DeWeese here is going to decide to make his way down into the pits and get a fresh set of tires. I mean, I would almost say that... Oh, man, that's a tough call. Honestly, he's got 20 lap older tires than the rest of the field, so... Or 20, okay, so he is going to come down to the pit lane. That's... Shouldn't have even been a question, really, for myself, but... This is an interesting debate in my head there for a minute. But anyway, the field is going to make their way down through pit lane. They're all going to get a fresh set of tires, fuel, everything that they need for their next stint here tonight. This is the only pre-planned caution of the race here tonight. And while that is underway, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take a short commercial break here, folks. And when we come back, we will have more of the Thunder Valley 225 here at virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere, and we'll have more of the Rapid Fire Pizza National Series right here on Team Goon Squad. Welcome back, race fans. The lights are off on the pace car as we are about ready to go back to green flag racing. Looks like we're going to do one more lap around the track here before... Actually, no, we're just coming down the back straightaway. So once we come out of turn 4 here, the pace car will make its dive back down into pit lane. The first and only stage caution of the night here. Going to be out of the way as we go through the Geico restart zone. The green flag drops here once more at Bristol Motor Speedway. Braxton Deweese falls back into second place here. There's contact, though, between Mike Howardson as well as the 84 machine of Kyle Mullering. Right into turn 1, but they're able to quickly recover. Let's see if Braxton Deweese is going to be able to track down the leader, David Santini, now that they're both on the same set of tires, essentially. Let's see who is going to stay out on top here as we enter into what is now going to be roughly the midway. Not necessarily the midway, but entering into the mid-stage of our race here tonight. Lap 70 of 225. Barry Stevens, Kenny Met. Oh, nope, that's not Barry's. Barry Stevens and Greg Newsom duking it out there for a second side by side between those two drivers. Back to single file. And frankly, a lot of this field opting to go into this single file lineup now that they know that first stage break is out of the way. It's pretty much a long, long stint until the checkered flag. So it's for these drivers, other than preparing for their next pit stops, which isn't going to be a while from now, probably I would have to guess about lap one. Let's see here. Let's say about lap 140 to 150. Kyle Mollering able to make his way up onto the outside of Braxton DeWeese here into second place. So it seems here tonight, the outside lane definitely working in favor for some drivers wanting to make passes here. The inside lane, not exactly certain if drivers just aren't able to kind of, I mean, we are starting under the lights here, so track is going to be a little bit cooler than usual, but I don't know. I can't exactly say for certain why drivers are able to, you know, kind of be this fast on this outside lane. Normally, you know, you'd want to see drivers down on that inside, but here at Bristol, it's a different story. You've got so much banking to work with that it very well could be that, you know, drivers going a little bit wider, able to kind of get a little bit more momentum, a little more speed going down the straightaways. Definitely plays in favor when you are looking to make those passes, as we have a caution flag out, and it's Kenny Meadows, the 96 Rolex machine, involved in this one. Let's take a look at the instant replay here and see what unfolded here for Kenny Meadows as we're working our way. Just comes to a complete stop. Oh, he blew his engine. Okay, we got to take a look at this. We're going to go into the cockpit. It must have been before this. There it was right there. So look at this, folks. You can see the smoke from the rear view mirror billowing out the back of the 96 machine, excuse me. And that's going to be the end of Kenny Meadows' race. Now, I don't know for certain what caused that for Kenny Meadows. There could be a multitude of things that contributed to that. Now, if you're like myself, if you're a sim racer, and you only have paddle shifters on your wheel, you don't have an H pattern, you don't have a sequential, you only have paddles, this could kind of be a little problematic at times. Especially I found when racing ovals, you have a tendency to want to hit that downshift for whatever reason, or maybe not even you have a reason to hit it. You just accidentally, while you're on the clutch or whatever the case may be. Essentially what I'm trying to get at here, folks, is that when you don't have that physical H pattern shifter to manually go through the gears yourself and you are relying on a sequential, I mean, this happens even in GT cars and Formula One cars, Indy cars. You can still blow the engine on those as well with a pattern shifter, or not a pattern shifter, or a paddle shifter. But I can just say, I can tell you right now, it's a lot easier to do that, to go down a gear when you don't really mean to, when you don't have an H pattern. Because I've done it myself, and I've definitely kicked myself in the rear for it. But again, I can't say for certain that's what happened to Kenny Meadows. It could be a completely different situation. Maybe he missed a gear, I don't know. But so our fourth caution of the race, and no one really involved in anything. It was just a blown motor. And Kenny Meadows had to bring that car to a stop in not an ideal place. But he did do what he had to do. He had to get that race car off of the track as quickly as possible to avoid anyone else getting involved in a wreck. But as we go back to green flag racing here at Bristol Motor Speedway, Braxton DeWeese able to work his way back up into the second place spot here ahead of Kyle Bollering, Mike Howerton, Greg Newsom, Billy Fitzgerald, who currently all duking it out side by side as they come back into turn one. Mollering up on the outside lane here, the same exact spot where we seen the 84 driver make that pass up to the outside around Braxton DeWeese. Let's see if he's going to be able to do it here again as we have trouble for Mike Howerton and Greg Newsom on the back straight right before turn 3 and 4. These two drivers getting into one another here. Let's take a look at the instant replay, see what unfolded here for these drivers. There's Howerton down on the inside. We're looking at Newsom. Newsom makes contact to the wall, gets to the left side. The right side, excuse me, of the 51 sends him right into the wall. And it almost looked like he kind of just flat-sided him there. Let's take a look here one more time. Yeah, so Mike Howerton, very lucky there. I mean, you don't necessarily want to take an impact like that, but as far as for the car, mechanically, that's, well, I don't want to say it's the best thing you can do for it. No contact is the best thing you can do for it, but for having hit the wall, mechanically, that should still be a relatively okay race car to drive. Howerton going to come down into pit lane here while the yellow flag is out. Hopefully that doesn't mean that he has broken a tie rod, broken control arm link, or anything like that. It doesn't have to get that repaired, but the possibility is still there. You know, that was still a pretty decent impact to the wall, so chances are something did either got bent, nudged, loosened up, or outright broken. So David Santini, Braxton DeWeese going to be restarting in our front row. Kyle Mollering, Colby Baber in our second row with Billy Fitzgerald, Chris Noble in our third row here tonight. Lap 91 of 225. Just a few more laps before we break the 100-lap barrier. Not too long before we reach the halfway mark in tonight's race. For Braxton DeWeese, it's been an incredible past few runs here. Up here in the top three, making a run for the lead here as well. But now that David Santini is back out on, well, has been back out on the same fresh set of tires that Braxton DeWeese also came out with, it's been tough to track down the 79 driver as we go back to green flag here. at Bristol Motor Speedway. And Deweese this time around coming out of turn 2 onto the back straightaway. He's looking for some room down onto the inside lane through 3 and 4. Back out onto the front straight. It's a battle for the lead between David Santini, Braxton Deweese. Deweese, he's still showing his pace here tonight, showing that he has got what it takes here at Bristol. And Deweese going up high through 1 and 2. 3 and 4. But still staying right on the bumper here. Let's actually take a moment. I want to ride on board with Braxton Deweese from the helmet camera of the number 8 machine, and let's take a lap or two alongside Braxton Deweese here for just a moment. Great driving here from Braxton Deweese in the number 8 machine. Keeping along with David Santini as they continue to click off laps here ahead, nearly a second ahead of the rest of the pack here. Meanwhile, there's action unfolding for the 10th place spot between Matt Knight and Greg Newsom. You can see the hood is completely missing from the 23 machines here as well. That's definitely going to affect the performance of that 23 car, but he's still keeping with it. He's trying to show that he's still able to keep up with the rest of the field, but that is going to be a tough car to drive. Kind of checking in with a lot of the other drivers here tonight. Looking at Evan Longacre, the current championship leader. He's missing both his front bumper and his rear bumper. Drivers just losing body panels left and right here at Bristol. And honestly, that's just Bristol being Bristol. You can see the 51 of Mike Howerton starting to get a little wobbly there as he continues to follow along with Greg Newsom as well. Just ahead of them, Chris Noble, Matt Knight. They're going to be stacked up side by side alongside of one another. Matt Knight able to make the move through the inside, back up into 9th place, but the battle continues on for that position here. And up front, I mean, it's still Santini, Deweese battling it out here for this lead position here tonight. And so far, Santini has not shown any kind of letting up here for Deweese. Let's take a moment. I want to ride on board from the rear view underneath the bumper of the 79 of David Santini. You can see just how, well, how steep the banks are here at Bristol, as well as how close Braxton Deweese is getting himself to the rear end of the 79 car as he backs off a little bit here coming out of 3 and 4. Lap traffic involved. You see the 50 of Jeffrey Meyer, another race car here tonight that has found itself in quite the predicament. While a lot of these drivers get themselves a good green flag run in here, and frankly, a lot of distance between a lot of this field at this moment. Let's take a look at the track map here at this moment. You can see it on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Just where mostly everyone is at this moment. Only one driver has found themselves out of the race here. Kenny Meadows, the 96 machine, after I'm still not sure if he missed a gear or if basically he still blew his engine and is not going to be able to finish the rest of the race here tonight, unfortunately, for Kenny Meadows. Unfortunate to see that happen. We're going to go ahead for a moment here while drivers are just clicking off laps. We're going to ride along with Barry Stevens here and just listen to the sights and sounds here of Bristol Motor Speedway for the Thunder Valley 225. That was a look alongside with Barry Stevens in the number 78 machine. Lap 128 of 225 here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Greg Newsom, the 23 machine, going to be amongst one of the first drivers here to come down into the pit lane after the last caution that we saw, lap 87. Some drivers came down into the pits. A lot of the field opted to stay out here. with less than 100 laps to go here tonight at Bristol Motor Speedway for the Thunder Valley 225. I don't think the action has really begun to settle out here quite yet. I mean, while we were looking at Barry Stevens, David Santini has been able to work his way up to about 3/4 of a second of a gap between himself and Braxton DeWeese in that second place spot. Billy Fitzgerald has been able to close in on that second place driver here, getting closer and closer to that expected pit window for the drivers that came in under that pre-plan, the stage caution. Lap 63 was when that occurred. I think I'm still confident that drivers are going to be able to stay out until about lap 140 or 150 before they come down into pit lane, but that's getting awfully close here. And we can already see Greg Newsom back out with fresher tires, currently the freshest set of tires on the track, already starting to show his speed here with those new tires, as the field right now is clicking off lap times of about 16.5 seconds, give or take a few tenths. But Greg Newsom, he's back up there. He's clicking off 15.5-second lap times. So, I don't know. I think some drivers may be tempted to come down into pit lane here before too long and get that fresh set of tires, as we see Billy Fitzgerald making a move down to the inside of Braxton DeWeese. It's a battle for second place as we come across the checkered line. Lap 139 of 225 here at the last great Coliseum of Bristol Motor Speedway. Big shout out, big thank you to our series sponsors, Rapid Fired Pizza, as well as Old School Ninjas, for putting on this event and for allowing myself and Team Goon Squad to cover the action week after week. Relatively tame battle here for second place between DeWeese and Fitzgerald. DeWeese staying right up on the outside lane here, not going down to the bottom for any reason at all here. We also see John Bender trying to get his way up here into the mix of things, getting closer to that expected pit window. I'm just waiting to see who's going to be the first driver to bite the bullet here, essentially. There goes Billy Fitzgerald, John Bender around the inside of Braxton DeWeese, up into second and third place, and now they're going to continue the battle for that as Colby Baber stacks up right behind DeWeese, and DeWeese, he's going to fall off here a little bit. He's going to take that time. He's saying, it's time. I'm ready. Let's get ourselves down into pit lane before anyone else does, and things get a little bit more chaotic down in pit road. Get on that fresh set of tires, and frankly, by the time everyone else is out of the pits, DeWeese is going to be in a good spot here for probably the remainder of the race. Yellow flag is out with Scott Stevens, the 55 machine. Sideways on track. Let's take a look at the instant replay. Greg Newsom goes down to the inside of him through turn I believe that was 4. Yes, it was. It sends the 55 on sideways here. And I think that is going to be the end of Scott Stevens' run here tonight, as he's going to take it behind the wall. And I think he is going to say, you know what, that's enough damage for the 55 car tonight. That's enough carnage for myself for one race. I'm going to call it early. And frankly, I don't blame him. But folks, I got to, the one thing I got to mention here, despite all the cautions, well, I don't want to say all the cautions because that makes it sound like we've had a lot here, which we really haven't. 6 cautions here at Bristol in 151 laps. Folks, that's pretty good. Excuse me. Still fighting that darned sickness. But, yeah, so 6 cautions here, 151 laps out of 225. Not bad at all. And out of the 16 drivers that we've seen join the race here tonight, only 2 have dropped out of tonight's race. So great to see everyone still out here putting out laps, trying to do the best that they possibly can and get the best finish that they possibly can here tonight. As a scramble out of pit road, everyone trying to get the best exit that they can and the best position that they can here for this restart. As David Santini, he's going to be back out here in the front row. And this is not exactly what I was expecting here, folks. I wish I would have caught on to this just a little bit sooner, but it looks like Braxton has been caught out here and is down, I think, 2 laps. One lap. Okay, so it looks like he's going to get the wave around. He'll be back on the lead lap, but this caution coming out when it did, I think, hurt Deweese in his timing through pit lane. Man, that is tough. That is extremely tough. I mean, fortunately, he's going to be able to get that lap back as he's now getting that wave around to rejoin the drivers on the lead lap. However, he's going to be restarting here, looks like what will be 11th position, along with Evan Longacre and Mike Howerton there in 10th and 9th place. So he's still got time, fortunately, but not a whole lot. Not much at all. Only about 70 laps, to be exact. And that's another point that I wanted to get to here, folks. 225 laps is a long time here at Bristol Motor Speedway. But the fact that with all the cautions that we've seen here, and it's only been roughly an hour total of racing, not even a full hour of racing yet, it's just a testament to these drivers and what they can do behind the wheel. But back to green flag racing here tonight, folks, for the Thunder Valley 225 for the 2022 MSRA Rapid Fire Pizza Nationals. And David Santini back up to the lead and just clicking off laps the best that he can. And right now he's actually got John Binder, the 33 machine, who's steadily over the past few, I would say past 20 or 30, well, really longer than that, has been showing more and more pace here in the later half of the race, just kind of conserving that race car, waiting for the time to come here once we get closer to the end stage of tonight's race. And right now, once we cross the line again, 65 laps to go in tonight's race, I think now is the time to turn the burners on and get going, especially knowing that this is going to be the last time that drivers come down through pit lane. And I gotta look at, folks, For all the Braxton DeWeese fans, I got to point this out. It's so unfortunate. I thought he was going to get his lap back there, but it appears he's still going to be a lap down from the rest of the field, and I don't know how. I don't know how. I thought Braxton was out of pits before that caution came out, but maybe it came out right as he was coming. I don't know. But for Braxton DeWeese, that is heartbreaking, to say the least. But there's still time. He still can get himself back up here, but heartbreaking. If there's another caution, he is at least going to be slated to get that wave around again or be the lucky dog. I'm not exactly 100% certain if there is lucky dogs here in this series specifically, but still time. He's still out there. He's still racing. Let's see what he's got. Good bunch of drivers here, all duking it out for positions depending on where you look. Single file for the most part. It looks to be Barry Stevens taking it up high around Robert Cook. And that's where I think we really see that outside line shine. With the likes of Barry Stevens, he really gives you a good example here in this camera angle of how to kind of slingshot your way out of the track. Let's actually lock on with him here. So watch it as we come down the back straight here. Watch how he enters turn 3, kind of dips it down a little low, but right into the middle. And then as he's going through turn 4, he dips it right back down to the bottom, right to near the apron. Full throttle from there, and it's just go, go, go. Watching along here with Matt Knight in the number 25 machine. Following along with Mike Howerton in the 51 just ahead of him. As in just a few laps, it'll be 50 laps left to go here tonight. And what could essentially be the last dash for the race here. Now taking a look at last week's race, for Kansas Speedway. Jamie Knopf coming home with the win last week, not here for this week's event. Chad Gooningsman as well, another driver not going to be here for tonight's race. Matt Knight, though, last week coming home with 3rd place, now going to be 8th place tonight here at Bristol. At least at this point in the race, there's still just under 50 laps left to go now, 48 to be exact, so there's still time. And it looks to be Braxton DeWeese. He is still charging his way up this grid, trying to find his way up the field and be able to, I mean, folks, at this point, it's tough because you're hoping for a caution. This is pretty much going to be Braxton's only saving grace, is if there is another yellow flag. Now, I don't think any one of these drivers with the exception of Braxton, wants to see a caution come out. But with the way things are going, that's pretty much the only thing that's going to save Braxton at this point in time. And if it's going to come out, it has to come out now, because think about it. If he gets the lap back, he's going to start pretty much right at the back of the top 10, who are all still on that lead lap. He's going to have to fight his way back through the field, and with how many laps we have left currently, that's going to be a tough battle for the 8 driver. But he's had an incredible run here tonight. That was close. You can still see Greg Newsom, the 23 driver, who missing his hood from that 23 car, able to still rip around laps here. David Santini up in the front of the field with the 79 Old School Ninjas racing machine. Starting to see a little bit of challenge from the 22 driver of Billy Fitzgerald. 22 trying to put himself in the rear view of David Santini here as well. Let's actually take a moment. I want to ride on board here with Billy Fitzgerald and just kind of get an idea of what he's doing behind the wheel. Trying to take it up the outside, down the back straightaway, going into turn 3. Let's see if he takes the same maneuver. Nope, Santini going to go up wide here as well. Fitzgerald down to the inside, down the front straightaway, across the checkered line, back into turn 1. Santini taking that same maneuver back up the outside. And I think Santini knows that that outside lane here gives you a really good slingshot onto the straightaways. You're able to build up a lot of momentum. So while the leaders continue to tick away at the lap ticker, Colby Baber, Barry Stevens, Robert Cook, they're behind them, battling for that 5th place position as well. Baber up to the inside of Barry Stevens, able to work his way up into 5th place. Colby Baber right now is looking to finish as far ahead of Evan Longacre as he possibly can, knowing that, I don't know, folks, tonight might be where we see another driver crown the leader in the championship, as we have a caution flag. But I'm not certain who for. Let's take a look at the instant replay. Let's find out exactly what happened here. Oh, no. Santini goes loose. Let's take this back. Let's look at the instant replay. It looks to be possibly... Oh, contact from the 22. Billy Fitzgerald sends Santini sliding out of turn 4. Doug Middendorf, you said it right. It's Bristol, baby, and it is getting heated up here in what is now going to be nearly about 29 laps left to go here at Bristol Motor Speedway for the Thunder Valley 225. For those of you that have tuned in tonight and have been watching and enjoying the race, thank you all for tuning in. And if you've been enjoying the show here tonight, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, folks. Catch all the action that we have here 7 nights a week on Team Goon Squad. You don't want to miss any of the action. Always have plenty of good racing happening here on the Team Goon Squad channel, so make sure that you get subscribed. Check out all the action that we have here, as well as get yourselves ready for the future races here with MSRA. The other thing that I want to mention here, while we are under caution here, this is the last race before the playoffs begin. This is something I didn't mention earlier in the broadcast. I'll be honest, I kind of forgot. But, so if any of the drivers that are looking for a championship, they need to be here. And so far, it looks like the drivers that are close to that championship spot, Evan Longacre obviously is here. Colby Baber, David Santini, John Binder, Kenny Meadows. He was here, unfortunately found himself blowing the engine of that 96 machine. Billy Fitzgerald as well here tonight. Robert Cook also here. Barry Stevens, Braxton DeWeese, and I don't see Brent Wall here tonight, but that is our top 10 of the championship as it stands right now. Pace car is in. The green flag drops. It is 25 laps left to go here at Bristol Motor Speedway. John Bender taking the lead here tonight, as we are too wide, almost. If we had another car up here 3 deep as we come out of turn 4 back onto the front straightaway. And now things have really shaken up here tonight. As David Santini, the third place driver, currently tries to work his way back up to the front of the field. Action happening all over the track right now. Colby Baber trying to get his way up to the leader of John Binder with 24 laps left to go. This is it, folks. This is the action that we have been waiting for, and it is getting heated up here. Baber taking the lead here past John Binder. Now it's Binder, Santini side by side as we come out of turn 4. Back into turn 1. Santini now trying to find his way back up to Colby Baber. 22 laps left to go. Who is going to come home with the win tonight for the Thunder Valley 225? Baber trying to get as much distance built up between himself and the rest of the field. Meanwhile, happening behind them, Binder in the number 33 machine with quite a bit of damage to that rear end, not able to keep up these battles here. As drivers making passes around the outside, Braxton DeWeese able to get his lap back up into 6th place, 20 laps to go. For all the DeWeese 8 machine fans, Braxton is on a mission here, and he has the pace to make it happen. Will he be able to get into the top 5? Or even the top 3 before the checkered flag flies here tonight? Going to be a tough thing to do here at Bristol, as there we see the 78 Barry Stevens, little spicy through 3 and 4 there, able to slow that car down before he made contact with the wall. Oh no, Braxton Deweese coming down into pit lane. I'm not sure if he's expecting drivers to have to come down into pit lane one more time before the end of the race, but with 15 laps left to go, I kind of find that hard to believe. Unsure why Braxton Deweese has come down into pit lane, but it seems like he has called it a night here at Bristol. As we continue on with 12 laps left to go, Colby Baber with the lead at this moment. David Santini in second, Barry Stevens in third. And about a half a second separating each of these drivers here tonight. Look at Santini here trying to challenge Baber for the lead. Looking to get himself up into first place with 9 laps left to go. It's still a little bit of work left here for the 79 driver. Let's go ahead and ride on board here with David. And Alan's Art Image is asking, did he blow the engine? I'm not certain that he did. I didn't see anything in timing and scoring indicating that that happened. I feel like if that did happen, there would have been some sort of position change. Oh boy. Santini not letting up here in the final 5 laps of the race. And Michelle DeWeese saying, yes, the engine did blow. So I'm hearing from the chat that his engine blew up because of front end damage from a car that checked up, which I did not happen to catch on the broadcast. Surprisingly, for Braxton, I mean, it looks like it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of damage to that front end compared to the rest of the car, but I could be wrong here. Two laps left to go here at Bristol Motor Speedway. The next time around, the white flag will be out, and it's the last chance to dance for these drivers. Colby Baber, David Santini, Barry Stevens, all looking for the win here tonight. Checkered flag is out as we come out of turn 4. Baber across the line for the win, but not before the 23 machine of Greg Newsom gets a little bit of contact across from the checkered line. Oh boy, into the back end of Mike Howerton there. But Colby Baber clear from the rest of the field, and he gets the win here tonight after, wow, after what seemed like a David Santini show here. Baber in that second place spot in the championship, going to now push his way, I assume, into that first place spot. As we are going to go ahead and get ready for our post-race interviews. Here are your race results on screen currently. And we're going to go ahead and get ready for our post-race interviews as soon as we have our drivers available. Looks to be first up is going to be Barry Stevens. Barry, sir, welcome to the booth and congratulations on your third place finish here tonight. What an incredible run here for the 78 machine. You know, Bristol is one of those tracks where anything can happen. It's almost like a super speedway where any mistake can result in the end of your race, essentially. But Barry, you saw yourself in a couple beats and bangs here and there, but able to come home with the podium tonight. I mean, how are you feeling after tonight's success, and what was kind of your expectations going into tonight for the Thunder Valley 225?
Well, first of all, I feel lucky just for finishing it. My goal coming into tonight was to not get in any wrecks and to finish the race and see where that panned out. It just so happened I had a really good long run car, and things worked my way.
Well, and with things working your way tonight, I mean, how do you think that's going to carry forward going into not only next week's race, knowing that the playoffs start and only a few races left in the season? Well, I say a few, but there's still quite a bit left. But how are you feeling about this rest of the season, Barry?
Well, I think tonight was the end of our season, and next week is the beginning of playoffs. So, you know, if I can make it through the first round, I'll be happy. There's some good talent in this league, and I'm not one of those top talents. So to just be in the playoffs is outstanding, and if I can make it to the top 8, that's even better. But I would like to thank our OSN team and our OSN team leader, Dave, and of course the sponsor of our league, Evan, and his pizza company. I think we're also adding one more. I can't remember who that one is because I'm not normally on the podium. I'm usually running around 5th to 8th, but that's about all I can think of.
Well, Barry, it's your first time tonight up here in the podium as far as I know this season. Congratulations on your podium here tonight. I know you kind of already gave your shout outs and thank you, so I'm going to let you go here. Congratulations, and make sure you crack open a cold one for me and celebrate, as well as for all your teammates and for those of you supporting you, watching the broadcast, or just supporting you in your racing endeavors.
You bet.
Absolutely, Barry. Have a good night. Alrighty, folks. That was Barry Stevens out of the booth here tonight. And up next is going to be David Santini in the number 79 machine, who I think is going to be a little bit rudely interrupted here as I drag him into the broadcast booth here. David, sir, welcome to the booth. I do apologize if I interrupted you with anything there, but welcome to the booth. Congratulations on your second place finish. I know it's not the place you wanted to finish. You had an incredible machine here tonight, David. You were leading the field for I don't even know how many laps now at this point, but talk to me a little bit about that contact. I forget what driver it was, but someone made that little bit of a bump to your left rear and sent you spinning out of turn 4, and after that it was pretty much just how can you get yourself back up here onto the podium. And here you are tonight, David. I'm going to go ahead and let you do your rambling for a little bit.
Yeah, no, for sure, guys. No, it all started. I got a little bit of damage. We had a car with fresh tires coming up behind another lap car, and it was Jeffrey. I don't know if he panicked or what. It kind of looked like he just washed up on me and shoved me into the wall there, and I got a little bit of damage. And thankfully, damage isn't terrible at Bristol. You know, it's not super aero, but I mean, it was enough that I might have been a half a tenth here and there off. So that kind of put me in that spot. Then when it was Billy called up to me then, and he was just riding, you know, trying to save tires and stuff. I mean, that's kind of all what we were doing, but you know, he's just a little tiny bit quicker than me, and he, you know, just ever so slightly tapped me, and it sent me around. I don't think I hit anything when he sent me around there, though, but you know, it's just it's a product of this kind of racing. I mean, if you come in here thinking everything's going to go green and there's not going to be any accidents, I mean, you're sadly mistaken. So when something like that happens, I mean, you can't get upset. You just have to do what you can do, get your car fixed, get your tires, do whatever you got to do, and just get back up there and deal with what you got.
Absolutely, and I think you did a phenomenal job of that, David. You know, despite being shuffled back a little bit down the field, you came back strong. You finished second place. But before all that, I mean, we were seeing another driver doing phenomenally well here. Forget who it was already. Anyway, point being here tonight, David, is that I mean, Bristol it's a tough track. It's not exactly easy to make passes all the time. And like you said, damage isn't necessarily a huge factor. You know, you can still stay relatively fast without being affected from all the bumps and bangs that we had here tonight. But after tonight, David, I believe that you are going to be pushed up into the lead for the championship. And now that this is the final race of the season before the playoffs, how are you feeling knowing that you're the guy to beat now?
No, it feels good. I mean, we have just, you know, I might have, you know, 5 wins or so. But, I mean, you have a guy like Colby who, you know, worked his way up there here at the end and snuck another win in there, you know, so he gets some more bonus points there. And, you know, you can't count a lot of these guys out, even some of these guys that don't necessarily, you know, have wins and showing it. I mean, you can't just relax and think you're just going to cruise, you know, to the championship there, whatever. I mean, you still got to work for it. So, I mean, we have Texas coming up. I mean, you have Talladega coming up. Anything can happen there, right? And then the Roval, I mean, you know, some guys not particularly into road, but, I mean, we have a lot of guys. I know Billy doesn't have a win yet, but he has one coming for sure here, especially with the road courses coming up. So, I mean, like I said, you can't just sit back and relax, so in cruise control and think you're just going to get there. You still got to work on it. So, I mean, we're ready to keep going here, though.
Absolutely. Love to hear it. Well, congratulations on your second place finish here tonight, David. But before we let you go and crack one open and celebrate, is there anyone watching the broadcast, anyone at home that you want to give it a shout out to and thank before you go tonight?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just a big shout out to everybody over at OSN. I mean, we've really been working well together here. I mean, we had a lot of good cars. I mean, if it wasn't for, you know, the incidents, I think we had top 4 cars at one point from OSN up there. So, I mean, Barry came home in third. Like I said, other guys had a handful of damage, but we all did well. And, I mean, just everybody that in the league that helps the league and runs the league. And, of course, you know, Team Goon Squad for putting on these great broadcasts every week for us. And we really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining me up here in the booth tonight. And I look forward to seeing you in next week's race, David.
Same to you. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
You too.
Alrighty, folks. That was our second place driver, David Santini, out of the booth here tonight. And I made a little bit of an error when I said David was the guy to beat. He still is the guy to beat with 5 wins to his name. But actually, point standings have been updated, and it's actually Colby Baber who has taken the lead in the championship. And Colby Baber, I do not actually see here in post-production, so I don't think we're going to be able to get an interview in with our winner tonight, unfortunately. But I can say, without a doubt, Colby Baber had an amazing race here tonight in the number 10 machine, coming home with the win. And not only with the win, but he has pushed his way into the lead for the championship. So great job for Colby Baber for the number 10 machine here tonight. That is going to conclude our action here tonight. for the Thunder Valley 225 at Bristol Motor Speedway. Folks, I want to thank each and every single one of you for tuning in and watching tonight. If you enjoyed what you saw, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Catch all the action that we have here on Team Goon Squad 7 nights a week. My name is Mason Heimbaugh, bringing you the action here, and I will see you all next time.